Bandwidth for this podcast is brought to you by CacheFly at CACHEFLY.com.
Play artist, right on Dynamite.
Playing artist right on Dynamite. MP3 music search, only on Ford, Lincoln, and Mercury vehicles. Sync, say the word.
Hey everybody, it's your old pal Merlin here at Macworld, and boy, we got plenty of room to shoot. But that's a good thing, because I'm talking to my friend Paul from Rogue Amoeba. Hi, Paul.
Hi, Merlin.
I understand my friend with the big sideburns already talked to you about, was that Radio Shift, your app Radio Shift?
Yes, spoke to Andy earlier about Radio Shift.
Yeah. Did he mention the MIT flea market?
No, but I knew he was headed there sooner or later.
He apparently likes that place a lot.
A little bit. I think he actually lives there. Lives at the flea market.
I wanted to talk to you about something else. First of all, why don't you tell people a little bit about what you do and the apps that you make and what your focus has been?
Rogue Amoeba is an audio software company for the Mac. So we have several apps for recording, editing, broadcasting, basically manipulating audio on the Mac.
What was the first app that you either made or the first app that kind of took off for you?
Well, we made a product called Audio Hijack, and its big brother, Audio Hijack Pro, is really what took off. And Audio Hijack Pro lets you record any audio on your Mac. So any audio playing on your Mac from the web browser, DVD player, QuickTime player, Real Player, basically any audio on your Mac you can record with Audio Hijack Pro.
AKA you are literally the devil to potentially every major media company. It's an amazing app, and I use it all the time for completely good reasons. Basically, you go and you point it at any application, and it just starts grabbing the audio. And didn't you recently add a thing, well, not the sunflower thing, but you recently added something where it can hijack without having to restart the app, is that right?
Yeah, so there's a feature called Instant Hijack. So basically, if an application is playing audio, it can just grab from that application without having to restart it or grab any audio, grab anything sort of causing you to slow down with it.
Yeah. So just theoretically, if you were using, for example, the open source VLC application to listen to an open source streaming Vorbis podcast of an open source discussion of open source, and none of it was stepping on anybody else's IP, you could theoretically grab that stream and pull it down as, like, say, an MP3.
You could record that open sourcely, yes.
Theoretically.
Yes, theoretically, yes.
So you started with that. Now, I always ask this question. Was that to scratch an itch at first?
It was. It was actually to scratch a different itch, though. It was actually to add an equalizer to DVD player, to Real Player, basically to add audio effects to movie players. And then we realized that people actually wanted to record content from those things. And we said, we should probably do that, because people are going to give us money if we do. So.
Wow, that is really. I love those stories. It's the same kind of story as Odeo turning into Twitter. Exactly. You start out thinking you're doing one thing, and then you end up someplace else. And what were you doing at the time that you came up with Audio Hijack? Were you already kind of an indie guy, or were you developing?
Yeah, it was while we were working on an MP3 player for the Mac, software MP3 player. I'd worked on MP3 players back till like '98, so before iTunes.
You were going to be an alternative to SoundJam.
We were there before SoundJam. SoundJam came out, and SoundJam got bought by Apple, and iTunes sort of ate everybody's lunch. On OS 10, we were working on a new MP3 player, and didn't do very well because iTunes. And so then Audio Hijack sort of grew out of that.
Ironically enough, the same people who killed off Odeo.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, we're pals, and I love your stuff, and it's been really interesting to watch. It seems like you're a real company, and you've got real employees, 3 of which are like pals of mine. Seem like you're doing really well, and the thing that intrigues me is the way the company seems to have grown around this core competency around audio. You haven't decided to start making laser pointers or funny hats. How do you make decisions about what to make next, and how do you know when it's going well?
It's definitely something where we listen to what we hear from our customers. So we had Audio Hijack, and people wanted more, so we made Audio Hijack Pro. And people wanted to broadcast audio, so we made Nicecast. And people wanted to edit audio, so we made Fission, our audio editor. Basically, people come to us and they sort of use one of our products for an audio solution, and they say, hey, I want to do something sort of similar. Do you guys have a product for that? And when enough people tell you that, you realize, hey, we should probably make a product for that. So it's something where it was never we never wanted to say, let's make audio apps, but we made one audio app, and it led to another one, and sort of the code and the frameworks that are the base of that lend themselves to other applications that are also audio apps, and we can leverage what we've already created to make new applications.
Totally, and to that point, I also like the way they interact with each other. I'm trying to think of the specific example I did recently, because I do use your stuff. It was one where, you know what it was? I think it was inside of Radio Shift. And Radio Shift, we should explain, is a really clever app that goes out and basically records streams for you. It becomes almost like not quite TiVo for your...
I can't say TiVo for radio, but DVR for internet streaming radio is really what it is, yeah.
And then what's neat is you have a little button you can click, and it says open this in Fission and let me go crop it.
Right, so if you've recorded something and you want to pull out some of the audio or crop it down, you can send it over to our audio editor, to any editor really, but to our own editor is really where we want people to go with it. And just integration of the apps that we have with new apps.
And if I could say, I think you're leaving off the one of your more recent apps that feels the most like insane, I don't understand how it works magic. Airfoil speakers, is that what it's called?
Yeah, so Airfoil is a tool for sending audio around your house, and Airfoil speakers touch on the iPhone, and Airfoil speakers on Macs and PCs lets you send audio from one Mac to another, a Mac to a PC, basically audio to any devices around your house.
Wait a minute, Paul. I thought I had this built in with my Airport Express. Why would I pay for your dumb software?
Merlin, the Airport Express only works with iTunes.
Wait a minute, only with iTunes, really?
That's right, only with iTunes.
Yeah, but you can't send a movie, right?
No, but if you want to send audio from Safari, like Pandora or Last.fm, or any other audio, you can do it with Airfoil.
No way.
Yes.
Yeah, but what if I want to listen on my phone?
You could send it to Airfoil Speakers Touch.
Holy crap! Anyway, it's a really neat app, and anyway, what I'm trying to get at is I think it's just really, I'm always really interested in companies that try to figure out the one way to do things. Now, do you run into any pushback or any trouble? I mean, apart from Apple not wanting to approve your apps because you accidentally include one of their icons. We should come back to that. I love that story. But do you get any pushback from the big companies where they basically, hey, you're taking off our plate? Do you hear anything about being the one potential part of the system that they regard as bleeding?
Well, I mean, you were joking about Audio Hijack Pro recording open source and blah, blah, blah. It's a tool, and what you do with that tool can be legal or illegal. It's not designed or aimed at doing anything illegal. You can buy a baseball bat and play...
It's designed at being convenient.
Yeah. You can buy a baseball bat and play baseball with it, or you can buy a baseball bat and hit somebody in the head with it. It doesn't make baseball bats illegal. So
as long as you don't hit him on the head with a Garth Brooks CD, you're probably all right.
Right, exactly. So it's something where, we make these tools for consumers to use, and there's plenty of legitimate uses for all this stuff, and I think it's not something that we're concerned about as far as a few people maybe using it in a way that it shouldn't be.
Well, and the unavoidable question this year that I personally think is a little tedious, but I'm going to ask you anyway. Everybody's all worried what the future of Macworld, what's going to happen. You've been coming here for how long?
We were first here in 2004.
Wow, they had Macs back then?
They did. They were slow, and there were pinstripes everywhere, but they had Macs.
And all they ran was like Bash and Talking Moose?
I think so, yeah. I definitely remember Talking Moose.
I don't even know what Bash is. What do you, rather than asking whether you think it's going to survive, in order for this to thrive and stay interesting and keep bringing the neckbeards in here, what do you think what would you do if you were going to make decisions about Macworld?
Well, actually, I've spoken to Paul Kent of IDG.
Great guy.
Yeah, great guy, and he really worked hard on getting Macworld to sort of be something different this year. And it's been pretty busy for us, and I'm pretty happy with it. I think one thing I'd love to see is more Mac companies here. There's a whole lot of tech stuff. There's certainly iPhone stuff, and there are some Mac companies, but more Mac software developers being here and Mac hardware developers being here would certainly be a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I'm always reluctant to ask people to predict the future or leak too much, but if you were going to scratch an itch next in your product line as you move out in concentric circles to destroy all other Mac audio apps, what do you, maybe just in terms of, if you don't want to say, in terms of patterns, what are you interested in making next?
I mean, certainly anything where audio is the focus. People come to us and ask for something they call video hijack, basically recording any video on their machine, and it's not something that we're going to do. It's a great idea, but it's not something we're going to do. Exactly. Our focus is on audio, and that's where we're sticking. Right now, we're working on big updates to a couple of our existing apps. Don't have any new apps in the pipeline, so.
I got a couple feature requests, so maybe we'll take a minute. Yeah. Okay, this is my Paul from Rogue Amoeba, and he dominates in this space. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you.